Oh, what to do, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now, in today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at Trinity's rework within the Warframe 1999 update, hence the skin that you see on the screen right now. I will be covering you guys with a steel path build with an augment, bam, that we will go and get to a little bit later. But first, let's go ahead and cover this rework. So first things first, I'll show you the abilities. I'll tell you what changed first for those who want to know and stop the yapping, and then I will explain the ability itself, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about her brand new passive right down here. Allies within affinity range gain 50% of Trinity's maximum energy as increased health. Long story short, basically things like Flow, Prime Flow, Archon Flow, any of those mods, apply it to Trinity. Not only is it good because she's going to store energy very well with her second ability, but it also just naturally and base increases allies' HP and Trinity's HP. Okay, it's a good background buff. Remember that it's just a background buff. Don't overly steer into it. We'll cover that more maybe a little bit later in the video. Now up first, we have got Trinity's first ability. This is called Well of Life. Now, Well of Life, we'll explain what the ability does in a second, but let's go ahead and explain the changes for those who don't know. Well of Life got, in my opinion, it received the most in terms of like actual change. So on screen here, it got increased radius, it got increased duration. It now can be cast on 3 different enemies where it used to only be 1. It can now resurrect allies. We'll get to that in a moment. And there's the quality of life things like being able to cast whilst moving. Now, for those who don't know what Well of Life does, let's go ahead and show you guys really quickly right now. Now, I'm going to be summoning some level 1s, but I'm going to be doing that on purpose because of something that I'm going to be doing in a moment, which you're going to see. Anyways, first things first, let me go ahead and just damage myself so I can show you healing properties. So you see that I currently have low health. Now, I've done that with the combat discipline mods. That's not the point. All you need to go know is that I'm lower health. So when I go and press 1 on an enemy, let's go and press 1 on this enemy, what will happen here is the enemy will get suspended. They will get invulnerable health bar up here. So this basically means any damage towards them and any status effects towards them won't actually kill them. It'll just be stored into them. When the duration ends, the enemy will then go and accumulate everything that was stored in, and the odds are it's going to die, all right? Just believe me, it's going to die. You probably have done a lot. So that's what's happening there with the enemy. So if I go ahead and do this and I lift this one up, you can also go and see I can do it on more units. Now, this is the part to pay attention to. You see this aura around here? This will be dependent on your energy color, I believe. But if I go ahead and slowly enter it, hopefully without picking up any of these health orbs, watch my HP, I will heal over time. You see that healing? I'm going to step back out so you can see that it did go and heal there. Okay, so when you're in this aura, you will just naturally be healed over time. Okay, that is important. Now, what you can go and do, if I lift up this other enemy and I create a new zone over here, if you go and shoot the enemy when it is also suspended, I also just got healed on shot. Any kind of damage that you end up doing, you don't have to be in the ring. Any damage that you end up doing will also go ahead and heal you. Now, this also synergizes with her thirds, which we will go and get to a little bit later. Her third basically redirects incoming damage, and if you tether to the enemy that's suspended on well, you end up basically redirecting damage to that enemy, and because they're taking damage essentially from you, from someone else, you get healing. It's an interesting synergy. Now, in terms of immunity as well, if you are in that zone, so let's go ahead and unpause these remaining ones. If you are inside this zone, you're also immune to status effects. So if they try and knock me down, as you can see, I cannot be knocked down right now. I've got that status immunity, which is fantastic so long as I'm in here. So that's also going to be good for you guys as well. So try and play around the zone. Now, taking fatal damage will go ahead and prevent you from dying. So let's go and bump their HP up really quickly right now. We're going to be doing all of this live, okay? So we're going to bump it up. I'm going to quickly go and press 1 on this one. I'm inside the zone. Watch my HP. Boom. I'm not dead. He's now dead. Okay? Instead, they're going to end up sacrificing their life for my life. All right? So that happened quite quickly there. So long as I stand inside that aura and that enemy is still alive and the duration hasn't expired, keep in mind, sometimes I'll run out of duration and then I'll die and I'll think I was safe and I'm like, oh God, I need to suspend more enemies to make sure that I'm always inside that area. But if I take fatal damage, I won't die. That enemy that is alive, that's suspended, will die in place of me. Now, I will be hit with a 60-second cooldown. I cannot completely spam this all of the time. So I've got 60 seconds until that. Now I can do that again, basically. And do keep in mind, this ability is subsumable. So other Warframes can go and get this ability, but they won't get 60 seconds. They'll get 120 seconds, all right? And that's basically how Well of Life works in like a nutshell, to hopefully help you guys understand that. Yes, it's a mouthful. Up next, we got Energy Vampire. The Energy Vampire is a wonderful ability for Trinity. It is kind of like her bread and butter. So let's go and explain what is going on here. First off, let's go and talk about the changes. There is no longer a 4 pulse cap, which means that it scales with duration at a 2.25 second interval, and in terms of how it emits energy out. You can also recast it, and you can also go and cast it whilst moving. Right. That's kind of the recap for those who want to know. Now, for the ability itself, if you don't understand how it now works, let's go ahead and show you. First things first, let me go ahead and use... first things first, when I go and press... Oh, sorry, I picked up an energy orb. When I go and press 2 on the enemy, watch the waves come out and also watch my energy as well. So I'll press 2 and you'll see when these waves come out, I'm getting energy as the wave is coming out. Okay, so basically this is going to be a way for you to go and get energy. Now, if I do press 2 on an enemy, you'll notice that they're kind of staggered in a particular state. Now, it will not stagger things like overguarded enemies, and there's also other certain enemies that just will not stagger anyways. But if you cast it on one enemy like this, yes, that enemy is going to go and get staggered. It can't attack. It's just pulsing things out as well. Now, inside the past, the way that Energy Vampire used to go ahead and work was the duration really dictated how quick we got the pulses. Well, the pulses are always set at a 2.25, or if the duration expires, which basically means for those who are wondering, if you end up running 13% duration on your build, EV works exactly the same now as it did in the past. However, you shouldn't be running 13% duration anymore, because loads of her kit scales with duration. So forget all of that. It now scales with duration, which means effectively, if you can keep duration nice and high, you can get more pulses over time. You just cannot change the interval of the pulses. They're 2.25 seconds each pulse. However, if an enemy dies, okay, and any remaining pulses that should come out haven't come out, but the enemy dies, it will then just emit all of those pulses out, okay? So technically, you killing that enemy can also just get you a good chunk of energy back way faster than just waiting for each tick, all right? So that's basically how that's working. Now, in terms of the damage that it's doing here, you're going to see, let's say 47,000, 44,000, 41,000. So what it's actually doing is that it's doing true damage. I believe it's like 6.25 HP true damage per cast, and it's to the target's current health. Okay, so when they're healthier, you'll do more damage. As they slowly go down in health, you're actually doing less and less damage. Okay, but when it reaches when the enemy reaches less than 25% of their overall health, it will then change from doing current health to then maximum health. So it'll still be the 6.25, but then it's multiplied by a 25 because of the fact that they're under 25. I know, math. It's a little bit confusing. I'm going to go and show you just visually of how that works. Here's 19, it's 18. We're slowly going to tick down. Just bear with it, all right? But I want you guys to go and see, because then this way, if you're a visual learner like me, you won't ask a question when I show you what it looks like. What's going to happen here is going to hit 12,000, and it's going to stay at 12,000. Watch. So remember, it was going down 1,000 each time. Now it's not going down 1,000. It's going to be stuck at 12,000 because now it's maximum HP. Okay, current HP would be getting diminishing returns. Maximum HP is set. It's a set focus. All right, that's basically what's going on there. That is what's going to be happening with that. Now, the only thing to go ahead and say about this is, so I'm looking back at my notes. The only thing to go and say about this is if you're playing inside a squad and you have a team member who's toggled and channeled an ability, let's say that you're playing with a Sephiroth and they've got their Gloom ability channeled, when you pulse out your EV, they won't get energy. They need to drop the ability in order then to go ahead and get energy. It doesn't give energy to channeled abilities. That is the same in the past as it is now, but right. Anyways, up next we have got Link, and Link hasn't changed very much, thankfully. There's not much go ahead and change about Link here. It was always a strong ability in the past, and it's still a strong ability right now, and we'll be centering quite a heavy build around it. So on screen here will be the changes that happen to Link really quickly, and this is the best one. the amount of links that emit and come out from Trinity that tether onto enemies now scales with ability strength. Yes, so you can get way more links going out of you, which means you could tether onto more enemies. That's important, remember that. It's also got an increased duration, it's also recastable, and you can also go and cast it whilst moving. So for those who don't know how the ability works, let me go and show you just really quickly about how the ability works. So if I go and just look down here, so you can go and see it a little bit easier, can you see those tethers coming out of me? Now what it's going to go and do is that it's going to go and link onto the closest enemy in front of me. All right, so in this case you see 1 2 3. Now I can recast it and it would still be 1 2 3, but if I move over here, you see how it doesn't change yet. Oh, there we go. But if I'm out of range, it will change. So you see how, like, maybe if I can move over here as well. So if I'm out of range, it will still just go to the closest enemy. Or if I recast it, you see how it changes as well. All right. So long story short, it's trying to search and seek for the closest enemies. Okay. Now what Link is actually doing is it's going to be redirecting damage. Now, for those who don't know, redirection is a little bit different than damage reduction, but in a weird way, not far off the same kind of thing. Okay, let me explain. Damage reduction is basically when an enemy hits you, you're going to end up reducing the damage that it does when it hits you. It's kind of like a passive, if you will. All right, that's damage reduction. Now that can be on her 4th ability, which we'll get to later, but on her 3rd ability, it's damage redirection, which means you need to be tethered. So it's got a bit like a prefix to a suffix. You need to be tethered to an enemy. Then for the enemies to shoot you, you're going to redirect a portion of that damage over to the other enemy. Okay, so it's not a damage reflection, it's a damage redirection. I know there's like reduction, reflection, and redirection. They're different things. They work not too far off each other, but they are just a little bit different. So in this scenario here, if I go ahead and tether like that, you'll see these enemies that are shooting me over here, this enemy is now taking damage. Now, it also redirects status effects as well. So you see, if I recast it, you see this one here? If I walk up into these and I get them to slam, I'm not being slammed down. Instead, this one's being slammed down. See that? We can just knock him down. So it's also, so again, so long as you are tethered to an enemy at that point, you're going to redirect not only damage, not fully, as I think it's up to 75%, and you're going to be redirection status effects, but at this point it's 100%. Okay, it's not like a portion of status effect. It's not like you get 1/3 of a knockdown and they get, you know, 2/3 of a knockdown. That's not how it works. That'd be really weird. I don't even know how that would work. Anyways. That's basically what's going on there with Link. Now, I will go and say one other thing with Link, and what's actually interesting was with the first ability, the synergy here. If I go ahead and link towards this enemy here, and I go ahead and put this enemy up in the air, remember what I was saying? In order for me to go ahead and get healing from this as well, if I shoot it, I get healed. But if I'm tethered to it and enemies are shooting me, I'm redirecting damage to that. So it's like me doing damage to it, which basically means I'm healing over time, essentially passively. By these guys hitting me, I'm now hitting it, and it creates this, you know, this loop of just sustainability, which is fantastic, right? So that's basically a Link in a nutshell. And then finally, we have got Blessing. So let's go ahead and show you what Blessing is and what Blessing does. And again, Blessing in the past was always just a very good ability. There's not much I was going to say about it. It's always, again, just kind of like Link or like Edgy. Actually, they're all just very identical. They identify with Trinity massively. But Blessing is, we'll put the changes up in there. Blessing did go and receive a couple changes, but for the most part, it was mostly a duration increase, which is nice. Furthermore, though, and this is the more important one, was when you would recast in the past, sometimes that damage reduction would fall off, and it would fall off in a way that if you had like a second of being exposed, an enemy could hit you and you would take a lot of damage. Well, basically now when you are recasting, don't expect any of that. Once that damage reduction is there, it's there. Okay, there's no like, oh god, I got RNG'd or whatever. That's not happening anymore. Again, I would have put that text on the screen so you can go and read it. Now, for those of you who don't know what damage or what Blessing does, let's go ahead and show you really quickly. So first things first, I'm just going to kill a couple of enemies with my combat discipline aura mods. So I'm taking damage right now. Okay, so if you go and look at my health right now, I'm just going to go press 4. Boom. Okay, we got healed. So what's going to happen there is that she's going to restore 80% of the allies within affinity range, 80% of their health and their shields. Now this scales with strength, which means you can restore 100% of health and shields to any allies within affinity range. Furthermore, and in case you are wondering, yes, the Focus School Vazarin does also increase affinity range passive, which is why Vazarin on Trinity not only works on her 4th ability, but also works on her passive. Affinity range by default is 50 meters. This increases it by 25, so 75 meters innately, or now just innately, as long as I've got this Focus School on, is now going out towards my passive and my 4th whenever I'm healing. So Vazarin Focus School works really, really well with Trinity, okay? Now, the other thing that it's going to be doing is when I do go and bless it, I'll be getting a damage reduction. The damage reduction also scales of strength from a 50% base up to a 75% maximum at 150% ability strength, okay? So 150% ability strength is kind of core on Trinity, but we'll get to that a little bit later as well. Actually, I'll just tell you it now, but we won't get to it later. You'll just see it in the build. So from here onwards as well, just going to let you guys know that she can also go ahead and bless and go ahead and help defense objects, but at a much worse rate. It's not an instant heal. It's 500 health over 5 seconds. But yes, if you've got an excavator and you want to go ahead and heal it, you can do with her blessing. It will also give 50% damage reduction to that defense object as well. This can also work in other missions like sorties, or other missions where you're defending Chipper and Archon hunts, where you are also looking to go and not only heal him a little bit over time, but give him some damage reduction as well, okay? And that damage reduction is capped. So, my goodness, that is a mouthful. That's kind of a kit. That's all of the changes. Let's go ahead and talk about a augment really quickly. And the augment of choice is going to go ahead and be Abating Link. So what is Abating Link and what is it doing? Now, thankfully it's very easy to understand because it's literally just written there, but it's going to be reducing armor rating on enemies by 60%. So this basically just means if I have 167% armor ability strength, I will be fully stripping enemies armor if they come in contact with a link. Now for now, I'm just going to put a blind rage on, but yes, let me go and show you what that now looks like. And I go ahead and now press 3. Fully armor stripped. See that? Now, when I kill an enemy, it will then just go and seek onto the next one and so forth. So it basically just allows me to follow and shoot and hit whatever it is currently tethering to. And as you can see, I've actually got more that I'm tethered to. I've got 5 that I'm tethered to now because, again, of the scaling ability strength. So ability strength works really, really well here for the link part as well. So that's basically going to be a Abating Link. That's going to be the augment. Just allows us to go and reduce that pesky armor and so forth. Right, let's go ahead and cover a build. Now, really quickly, okay, up on screen is a build, but it's not complete. And I'm going to show you why it's not complete, because there's actually 4 builds, and I'm going to show you all 4 of them, and I'm going to explain what you can take and why you can take it. Ultimately, just so you understand this is an Abating Link setup. I am using Abating Link in my build. This is going to be good against Grineer. It's going to be good against Corrupted. It's going to be good against the new 1999 faction, Scaldra. It's going to be good against anybody who's got armor, okay? Which is great because it's just a debuff naturally towards them. So remember, it's Abating Link. From here onwards, though, there's a few things that you can change, and we're going to talk about what you're going to go and change and what you can go ahead and subsume. So bear with me, let me cook. It gets really, really messy from here onwards. And if you want to see how messy it actually gets, I'm going to go ahead and put this on screen so you can go and see all of my notes. It gets really, really messy. If you really want to pause it and read it, it's entirely up to you, but I will try my hardest to explain as much as I possibly can to go and help you understand what is genuinely going on here. Yeah, okay. Anyways, so what we're going to go and do, let's explain a few things really quickly about what can synergize with her and what's going on. Number 1, range. Range on Trinity is fantastic. Basically, everything scale enough range, except from basically Blessing, which scales off affinity range. Link scales off range, EV, Energy Vampire, the pulses and how far they can reach, scale off range, and your Well of Life also scales off range, okay? So range is really, really good on her. It's pretty much what I would start with, because even if you want to go as the support version of Trinity, range is good. And if you want to go offensive with Trinity, range is also good. What have you learned? Range is good. The next thing, strength. Strength is also really good on Trinity. Not only is it going to go ahead and help me cap that out at 150%, that's all capped out. I get full shields, I get full damage reduction, but the links and how many I can tether to, keep in mind it's an Abating Link build, the more strength, the merrier. We want to tether to more and more enemies, completely armor stripping them, removing their armor as well. So that's also going to scale off it. Energy Vampire, the overall damage and the overall pulse return is also going to scale off it. Well of Life, the overall healing and the healing return is also going to scale off it. Strength on Trinity is also really nice. Now, also on top of that, duration in terms of timers and quality of life is also going to be really, really good. We're going to go down that route with duration as well. So duration on this, duration on this, duration on the passive on this, duration on that. So funny enough, that's how it works. Strength, range, duration, it's entirely up to you which route you want to go down, okay? You prioritize what works for you. There's no right, there is no wrong. Again, I'll show you a finished build in a moment. Now, from here, let me explain a few other things, right? First of all, Prime Flow, or even if you can't get Prime Flow because Bellicose isn't around, if you end up getting to Operation Veilbreaker and you start doing Cole, what is he called? He's just called Cole. I forgot his like full Cole 177. Oh, I forgot him. Thank God I forgot him though. But anyways, if you end up doing Cole missions, you can end up getting Archon Flow. And I know you might be thinking, but the cold in here doesn't work. Don't worry. The only reason why some people use Archon Flow is because it gives you the same energy maximum that what Prime Flow gives you. Okay, and again, Prime Flow, you may not have the platinum to buy it, or Bellicose may not be around. So if you can just get yourself towards Cole missions, which is like slightly after New War kind of quests, you can go ahead and use Archon Flow as a temporary placement until you get yourself a Prime Flow. Excellent. Anyways, any kind of flow here will be good. Even if you don't have those and you're like, okay, but can I just use a normal flow, Clark? Of course you can. You just won't store as much. And as you're not storing as much, you also get a little bit reduction towards the health because of the passive, right? So just keep that in mind. But for now, we're going to do Prime Flow. From here onwards, everything else, like this is just range, that's just strength. And again, keep in mind, you can actually hurt her overall efficiency because energy fan pass, as long as this is like your main juggle, keep looking for energy, keep looking to sustain yourself with energy. Hit your efficiency as much as you want to. It does not matter. Blind Rage is fantastic on her. Blind Rage, Prime Flow, sorted. All right, you got loads of strength, which scales your ability strength as well, link and all of that. And you've also got loads of energy capacity, storage and whatnot. So we can hit efficiency. We don't care about efficiency at this point. You'll be fine. Just make sure you press 2 at the right time. I know it sounds a bit silly, but make sure that you've always got energy for a 2. If you had to press any ability in this kit, it's 2. Then it's 3. Okay, then it's 4, and then it's 1, because it's in that order. Anyways, from there onwards, let's talk about a few other things that you can go and do. Now, combat discipline, let's talk about this really quickly. You will lose 10 health on kill, and teammates gain 20 health on kill. So not only does it fit the healer theme, but we don't care about the healer theme here. It does fit it, but that's not what we care about. We actually want to hurt ourselves, and I'll tell you why. Because if we go and read this mod here, it's called Archon Intensify. You actually get 30% ability strength, which is a normal Intensify, but restoring health with ability also grants 30% ability strength for 10 seconds. Do you know how easy that is to apply if I just kill an enemy? Okay, so if I'm not full health, I can instantly just press 4, and even if I restored 1 HP, just 1, I would go and get an extra 30% ability strength for free. It's so easy to apply in her kit, all right? Kill enemies, just press your 4, then start using your other abilities, all right? So again, obviously make sure you got energy to do all of this, but this synergizes so well with that. Another thing that synergizes so well with that, and this is where you start to see I'm going to slowly fill in the build, is Arcane Avenger as well. Whenever I get damaged, Arcane Avenger has a 21% chance of proccing to give me a 45% additive to base critical on mods as a final absolute critical. So I can now also make my weapons more critical chance stronger, which synergizes, which synergizes, which synergizes. See what I'm saying? Now I can go and put that in there. Now it doesn't have to be that one. That's why I'm leaving it blank, because I can show you what else can come in here. From there onwards, overextended is fine. It will hurt your ability strength, but it doesn't matter. Lots of range. Power drift, there's not really anything else to go and put in here unless you want to put cunning drift up there. You could consider preparation, but it's kind of counterintuitive. You're a Trinity. Press 2 the moment you enter a mission. So long as you have enough, so if you hover over here with your energy, so long as you have enough energy to be able to cast your seconds. So if you see my seconds drain here is 77. See where it's the red text there. That basically means when I cast the ability, it's going to cost me 77. If I hover over this, I have 180 that I'll start the mission with. So can I cast this the moment I start the mission? Yes. I know it's not, I need to go and put a mod in here. Let's say like I put secrets in there. This will be a mod that I'll end up using in a bit anyways. If I hover over the energy now, can I still cast 145? It's 77. Yes, I can. So the first enemy that I see, I will press 2 on. Now I'm going to go and get loads of energy return. right? Now this is flexible and that was flexible. So let's go ahead and go into the second part of it. So let's talk about a subsumable, right? Now Trinity is very defensively heavy. If you want to, you can take this setup, and I'll show you what it looks like with this, because this is this but finished. So you can take this setup, remember everything I talked about, but if you want a subsumable, because she's like, this is giving you energy, this is giving you survival, this is giving you survival and healing, all that good stuff and whatever, if you now want to go offensive with her, you can do. Enter Raw. Let me talk about something, or talk about two things really quickly. Number one, no, it does not have to be Rhino's Raw ability. I know it's so dominant nowadays that it's in like every, sorry, I need to go and move my notes. It's in like every single build right now. Yes, I get it, but it's really good offensively. It will now allow my weapons to go ahead and get a faction. It can also go ahead and increase the damage of my other abilities. Not that I'm really doing damage, it's mostly going to be EV that might go and benefit from the overall damage increase. I'm not actually 100% sure. I think it does. Anyways, it will just be good for my weaponry. So if you don't want to use Raw, you can use, ready? Grendel's Nourish. I'll put it on the screen here. Grendel's Nourish. Grendel's Nourish would actually synergize with Energy Vampire, because Grendel's Nourish is a multiplier of all energy incoming. So you could actually go into Grendel's Nourish and go ahead and Energy Vampire, and it would just synergize together. And then you would also go and get viral towards your weapons, which is also nice. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I did debate it, but I thought it was so overkill that I just didn't want to put it in there. And I was like, oh my god, I don't want to go and do that. But it does go and work. Please go and use Grendel's Nourish. You can go and do that. You can go and use Mirage's Eclipse. You can go and use Zarta's Whisper from Zaku. Now the other things you can go and use is, if you enjoy melee, you can now go for a critical chance route with Raffle Advance, okay? I'm going to show you some builds that also work with that as well in a moment, but you can also go in Raffle Advance. The difference between Raw and Raffle here is that Raffle, I'm stuck to melee. Raw, not only can I help melee, but I can also help primaries and secondaries. So let's talk about primaries and secondaries really quickly, and let's talk about Champion's Blessing, because no, this is not actually going to be in my kit. I want to go and explain this, and I've also tweeted Pablo, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So we just read what it says. It actually says gain primary and secondary critical chance for 30 seconds for each % you have healed on allies for 350%. So you might be thinking, oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool. No, it's not. Unfortunately, with the Trinity rework, as of right now, listen to my words. This is so goddamn important. Listen to my words. If this changes, I might have something to do with it. If it doesn't change, don't run it. And I'm going to tell you, don't run it, especially solo, but I'm going to tell you why. So when it comes to Champion Blessing, it's per % that you heal. As in, like, if it's 1% for 1 health, then I'm going to need to heal 350. Now that could be a cross collective of multiple Warframes. Problem is, nowadays, most people in groups, you're going to probably end up finding someone with Overguards. You can't heal Overguard, and Overguard overlays not only your shields, but your health as well. So it's got to get rid of Overguard first, which means this has a problem proccing. So now inside a group format, this instantly falls off. This is why I'm saying, I've tweeted Pablo about it, and I think it should work more like this. Is what it should kind of work like, or it should work more like this. You see, this one, I can heal just 1 health, and this procs. This, I go ahead and take damage, and there's a chance that this procs. This needs to be somewhat similar in terms of how it's proccing, because inside group formats with Overguard, it's tough. Now, inside a solo format, it's also tough, because if you go and use Link or Blessing or whatever, you're actually reducing the amount of damage that you're technically taking, which means you've got to take even more damage to get more out of this. Does that make sense? And we're in a shield gate meta as well, so you know, any kind of shield gating or shield gate returns is also going to be tough. Now there was a few things that we did go and try with this. We tried Loki's decoy to go ahead and bless the Loki's decoy and take a damage. That got buffed, by the way. Loki's decoy takes no damage to Steel Path, my goodness. But what we want is go ahead and do is this in a solo format. This might actually work well if you use a Spectre and you use Inneros, maybe Nidus, but Nidus might go ahead and parasitic link to an enemy. If he does, he's also got damage reduction on him. So maybe like an Inneros where the Inneros has taken just natural health, and if he takes 350, boom, you can go and bless him and go and get it. So there is like a little bit of a Spectre setup here with this if you want to, but again, it's a little bit coping. I think it needs to change. I think the critical chance is fine. It's going to be additive to critical mods. So it's going to be like critical delay, it's going to be like point strike, it's going to be like all of that. It's going to be additive to those things, so keep that in mind. But yeah, until that technically changes as to how we proc it, me personally, I wouldn't run it. Now if you're like mid game, you know, where you're not with people who are like super giga strong and whatnot, I'm gonna say like a MR, like MR 20s, MR like 15s. That's no offense to you guys, I'm just saying, you know, maybe around there it might see a bit more action, and you might actually get more out of it. But once you start hitting with the LRs and all of the people who are playing with me and this, that, so, bro, we're gonna have overguard. And now I feel like I'm being punished because I can't proc it because my team is too good. Does that make sense? Anyways, so no, I wouldn't run it. See why this is now flexible here, and you see how this is flexible here. See why, and then that can go ahead and go into this one if you're going with that kind of setup. Now, let's go ahead and talk about another setup here inside this one right now. I don't know what I'm missing here. Oh, I think I'm missing the stretch. One sec. Oh, no, that actually becomes flexible, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, this is Bellicose, and I want to go and talk about Bellicose really quickly, and I want to go and talk about her passive really quickly. Hope you guys are staying with me. I'm sorry that this was a lot to go and cook. At this point, if you guys are still here and you're listening to my voice, please go and like the video, because this was actually so much time that I spent on this. But anyways, so let's go and talk about it. So the passive was you go ahead and get conversion from your total maximum pull over towards your health pull, so forth, so forth. Now, this new arcane came through, and it's called Arcane Bellicose, and Bellicose gives you 6% ability strength for every 250 health, up to a maximum of 72% ability strength. Now, for what it's worth, that is actually pretty good, but it's good on a certain few warframes, and it'll be good on some warframes that you didn't even expect it to be good on. So, for example, it's naturally good on Inneros, because Inneros has a base of 2,400 HP. As soon as you put Vitality on him, he's got 4,800. You need a minimum of 3,000 HP to reach this. Minimum. Remember that, okay? Things about 2,000s is between here or something like that. But anyways, that's basically how that is now working. So keep that in mind. So that's what's going on there. Now, on top of that, oh wait, I just noticed something there. Oh, there was actually no 42 return at that point, was there? Yeah, never mind. That actually works a bit different. Anyways, so you need 3,000 to go ahead and get the full return on this for the 6% scaling, right? Now, you can actually do that with Trinity, and it would look something like this. Now, you can go and run the Vitality mods. Okay, this is where it gets really crazy, so forgive me. I'm so sorry, but I want to kind of just explain like how this is working. So you can go and get the Vitality mod, right? So that I'm gonna rattle numbers off, you're not gonna like me. Anyways, the passive gives you 225 naturally on energy, right? So it's 225 energy there, yeah? And then that would give you so you divide that by 2 because the passive is 50%, so you get 112.5 energy. But Vitality, when you put it onto your build, doesn't actually increase the passive again, so you don't actually go ahead and get a double amount there, which is what Vitality essentially does. It's 100% increase. It doesn't increase the passive, right? So you actually take 370 base health of Trinity, because that's her base health, and then you add it with the passive conversion of the 112, and then you go and get 482 health. Then from there is where Vitality gets added in. So this is before Vitality, but Vitality now gets added in. It'll go ahead and take you to 740, which is the base health plus Vitality plus 112 from the passive equals 852. When you add in Prime Flow onto the build with the passive, you get an extra 208 additional health rather than the 112.5, which now leads us to 1,060 health. See how I got there so far? Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Right, from here, now we go and put in Arcane Blessing. And Arcane Blessing gives us, if you go and pick up energy orbs, it gives us a maximum of 1,200 health. We need 50, sorry, did I say energy orbs? 50 health orbs is what we need. Okay, so 1,200 at a maximum of 50 times multiplier. So that will go ahead and give us 2,260. Now, if we ended up running, and it has to be, sorry, 4 Talforged Azures at 225 HP increase each, so that would then give us an extra 900. We then need 2,260 with a full scaling of blessing with the Talforged, 4 Talforged on there. It would give us 3,160 health. Now you can put Arcane Bellicose on. So between Blessing and this setup, you can now actually go ahead and run this. Now here was the thing, and I was kind of comparing between the two builds that I was saying, hey, take this one here with more augmented versus the Bellicose, and what would you be running? This is where I got a little bit kind of silly and whatnot. Anyways, long story short, math is off, but you can ignore that. Actually, no, it's not. Long story short, what actually happens here is on the first one with the 60 from Mo Augmented versus this one here, if I didn't run August Secrets, so if I didn't have that in there, Bellicose actually on this build actually outranks the amount of strength I get on this build. So you could actually Bellicose if you wanted to. And what's interesting is Bellicose will give you a higher base amount of strength. So it'll actually give you 42%. I'm not fully maxed out right now. I think it's 42 or 48. Then, oh no, sorry, I think it's 48. Oh no, sorry, it's 42, but I can't remember. It's 42 or 48. And then you need the blessing to scale it to 72. Whereas this one, you would need to go ahead and get 250 kills in order to go and get 60%. You see how Bellicose can potentially work? Right, okay, so that's basically what's going on there. So consider it. I'm telling you, there's optionals when it comes towards Trinity. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going to take, but you need to take it in that method though to go and get the most out of it. Anyways, finished build might look something like this. And as you can go and see, it wasn't that different, but what I did go and do was I bumped up my strength with the August Secrets, and I used the Arcane Blessing because I have damage reduction and damage redirection. That Arcane Blessing just synergized really nicely with her, okay? So this is the build and kind of like the final build I would relatively sit on. Now it's up to you. Do you want to subsume her 1 or not? I'll put it this way. If you are dying, don't subsume her 1, play around her 1, right? It gives you that kind of gating, right? Now, if you are not dying, subsume her 1 and honestly go offensive with it. Raw, Eclipse, Stardust, but get the idea? Just go offensive with it. Now your weapons and your weaponry can work really, really well. And if you want to do Avenger, you can do Avenger. Oh my God, that was so much to go over. So much to go over, but she's got a little bit of variety in there. You see how I'm not going to tell you exactly what to take. You can mix and match. Just remember, if you're going for the Abating link setup, you essentially want strength, duration, and a bit of range as well, and then you should just be good. Now, really quickly, for the Archon Shards and what I'm using on her, we're going to go and start off with the casting speed. There's a lot of casting that will be going on here, whether it might be Well of Life. If you are going Well of Life, it'll be the Energy Vampires, it'll be the Links, and it'll be the Blessings. Having a casting speed shard on her isn't going to be too bad, but from there onwards, I would honestly just hit ability duration. You see, 40% ability duration is a lot of ability duration. Prime continuity gives us 55%. Besides from doing something like narrow-minded, the next amount of percentage we're going to get is like Augur Message at 24% or Constitution or whatever it is at like 28%. I'd rather just take quality of life here. You could go strength. If you want to go and take Crimsons for strength, you can take Crimsons for strength. But honestly, you don't need much else. I'd rather take the quality of life, all right? So it gives me 195%. That's where I'm getting the extra 40% for on my build. Okay, now let's go and put some gameplay up on the screen finally, because that was a mouthful to go over. Now, as you can go and see here, Trinity is going to survive, and survive she will. All right, she will just go ahead and use your energy vampire to go and make sure that you've got energy. Go ahead and then trigger your and make sure that your link is on. Now, if you are playing against enemies that have armor, great. The link is going to go and remove all of their armor and go ahead and expose them, which is just making it a lot easier. And if you are running something like Rhino's Roar or an offensive ability here, then great, you can also go ahead and just kill those enemies. Again, lovely jubbly, good stuff. Now, a blessing on top of it is going to go and give you that damage reduction, and again, all of that is all going to go and end up scaling off your overall ability duration. So you can see why I ended up going for quite a fair bit of ability duration to keep the link up without needing to recast it as often, to keep the blessing damage reduction up, to go ahead and keep things like Rhino's Roar active as well. It's all just really good for me, so I enjoy all of that return. From there onwards, it's up to you. You can go ahead and run whatever you want to in terms of weaponry. Start using some of your favorite weapons. I will show you my weapons that I'll be using in a moment. I don't think there's much of an issue here in terms of like where I felt like the build fell off. Now, don't get me wrong, if you was to try and go towards like level cap or scale enemies into multiple thousands, damage reduction and damage redirection naturally is going to fall off. At some point, you would need to change it into shield gating and then maybe use her 1 for a backup survival if you wanted to. But for now, this build will scale you pretty heavily into Steel Path without honestly much issue. There isn't going to be many things that are going to annoy you. Maybe Violence Acolyte might be a bit annoying, but that's mostly about it because he's going to go and disable your defenses. So if you see Violence Acolyte, try and keep your distance from him. And the same goes with like Nullifier Bubbles as well. Try and keep your distance from them as well. Now I'm going to go and bring you guys back here really quickly, and I'm just going to show you a couple weapons that I've been using, and it's entirely up to you what you want to go and use. All right. Now, first up, Latron. I'm just going to put the evolutions up here. You're going to have to pause it and go ahead and read it. But the Latron actually works pretty well, especially if I'm going for like a critical route as well. Easy to go ahead and clear, good single target, good AoE on top of it. So let's go ahead and show you what the build looks like there. Again, I'm not going to heavily dive into it. I'm just going to show you what I'm currently using. If you want to go for a no evolve build, I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, but that actually works better with sight, which we'll get to a sight build in a moment. Well, not in this video, but in the next video. But yeah, so it's just a lot of scaling, a lot of just whatever so forth. You can go and put a faction mod in here if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you, but I'm basically playing around the evolve, so I can also get increased range here if I go and use a Firestorm. But I can start off with Deadheads, and then once I build that up, I'll just start evolving it and shooting enemies. This is the no evolve one, but again, you'll see this a little bit more inside my sight video with the prime acuity with the semi rifle cano. This one you're not evolving, you are literally just trying to double tap, hit those headshots, and get 500% overall damage increase on top of it. It absolutely smashes enemies. It's really, really cool. Anyways, so that's that. You could go and use something else like Torid if you really wanted to as well. Evolutions you go and see up here. Now I also use this inside my next video, but again, it would also work really well with Trinity. By all means, it's entirely up to you as to how you want to go ahead and run it, all right? But then this is something like Torid right here. Off you go. All right, so that's, it says Nyx there, but you could also go ahead and run it with Trinity by all means. And again, it works well with the Rhino's Roar because you're going to be doing Toxin, and Toxin will go ahead and end up double dipping and so forth. So you do want a faction mod at that point if you're not doing the Rhino's Roar anyways. So you can go run things like Occucore. I'm going to put my Occucore on the screen right now. This is going to be a general viral heat one. This is a lot of critical return and so forth. As you can go and see there. And then this one's multi-shot critical damage and Toxin as well, which gives me the viral heat combination setup with the flare to go and increase damage and the sentient surge to make sure that I just do not need to reload, which is phenomenal. And then I have something like, then I have something like Hate as well. So the first evolution, you can't, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Just ignore the first evolution unless you want to go for a full Stalker setup. So this evolution, you either take one or two things. You can either go combo duration or you can go range. It's entirely up to you. I like the combo duration because I'm going to be doing a lot of scaling that you'll see in a moment. And then this one over here is increased base critical chance by the 10% because I'm going to go very critical heavy. So this is my build here. Now this is if I'm, again, running Rhino's Roar, or if I'm not running Rhino's Roar, and if I want to go and run Raffle Advance from Curvo and subsume that onto Trinity, I can do. But do keep in mind, if I do that, do not run Blood Rush. You don't need Blood Rush here, okay? You just completely get that out. But this is going to be a very heavy critical build where I'm just going to absolutely slap and walk through any enemies that come in front of me. I get the scaling here, I get scaling status here, I get scaling critical chance here. I also get scaling critical chance here as well. Oh no, sorry, I also go and get scaling critical damage here as well. The ribbon that I've got is critical, as you can go and see. And then I also just allows me to keep my overall initial combo up nice and high with the combo duration that I also end up having. Actually, I don't think the combo duration synergizes with that. Now that I think about it, I think you can actually go and take that out. You can even take this out, or you can take the combo duration out. But yeah, that's basically how that works. And melee exposure, because you'll be casting a lot of abilities, it's literally just free damage for your weapon. Now, if you don't want to go and do that, and if you want to go for someone like Rhino's Roar, and you're looking for a different alternative, you can end up running the Nami solo. There's not many things you can go ahead and run in here, so don't worry about this one as much, but I'd rather go ahead and just take the attack speed when I equip it. This one, combo duration, but you end up seeing why. And then this one is the status chance. And when I go and click on the build, this is what I'm using for my melee influence setup, and it works really, really well with Trinity as well. Because again, you'll just be removing lots of enemies, walking them down, running them down. There's nothing they can go and do. Scaling, double dipping. And then I've also got the electric with the combo duration and whatnot. If you want to learn more about this setup and you want me to go and break it down for you, please go watch my Saren video about melee influence. Okay. Besides from that though, like I said, Vazarin Focus Score works really, really well on her because of Mended Unity. And also on top of that, you can also go and get Mended Soul. So when you are healing allies, you can just heal them really, really quick, and so forth. Right, I think I have covered, just a companion. If you want to know what I use, it's my standards. Yeah, you might go and get sick to death of this, but I do like it. You don't actually have to go and use this one though, because you don't really need the primer setup, and energy return is really, really easy. So honestly, you can use whatever companion you want to there. Maybe take something like a Darzar, or maybe take something like Panzer. It's entirely up to you, all right? But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Yes, that's a long one, but oh my goodness, there's a lot to go ahead and cover there in terms of diversity. So if you're going to ask me what do you want to go and do, I would just take synergies, combat disciplines, Archon intensifies, all of that good stuff, all right? Anyways, I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to let you guys go. I really want to appreciate you guys for checking out today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys go and get a nice build there with Trinity. But what do you guys think about her? Are you guys enjoying her rework? And if there's things that you're not enjoying, share with us. What do you think they could have gone ahead and changed? But anyways, please go and like the video if you guys enjoyed today's video. Share the video with a friend. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel, go and subscribe. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Take care, guys.